Last season, the Detroit Pistons went in with some pretty good expectations of themselves, being one of the teams that people expected to maybe fight for a lower play-in spot, if not maybe at least be competitive throughout the season. And things went off the rails very, very quickly. Kate Cunningham went down very quickly in the regular season. Bojan Bogdanovic went down around halfway, and then things kind of just fell off the rails. You thrusted the keys into Killian Hayes and Jaden Ivey's hands to run the offense. And of course, Jaden Ivey is a rookie, he's going to make mistakes. Killian Hayes really just didn't show a ton of improvement that you'd hope to see. But the season wasn't without their bright spots. And one of the largest bright spots for this team was their rookie in Jalen Duren. The 6'11", 250-pound absolute monster of a physical specimen for the Detroit Pistons. With also some very nice skill, Jalen Duren has shown that he has the potential to be one of the best players out of his draft class and could possibly have some all-NBA level potential. Let's talk about it. So, Jalen Duren came in the NBA as one of the youngest players in his draft class. You wouldn't be able to tell it by looking at him though. The kid is absolutely insane as a physical specimen already. 6'11" with a 7'5" wingspan, already 250 pounds with over a 40-inch vertical. He's in those levels with like Shaq and Dwight Howard when you talk about physical specimens coming into the league. And already he's shown some great skill, whether it's with some very underrated passing ability, his great ability as a pick and roll threat, and as a lob option. And he shows some flashes on the defensive end as a switchable big and as a shot blocker. Now, of course, he wasn't the greatest plus defender because the Pistons overall just wasn't a great defensive team last season. Actually, one of the worst. But those are things that can grow along with him. But overall, Jalen Duren is one of the better young players in the NBA with some of the most amazing potential. So starting out the season, the Detroit Pistons took it pretty slow with him. They didn't really throw him to the fire. In the first 24 games of the season, he only averaged 6.6 points, 6.8 rebounds, with close to a block per game on 61% shooting. And they used him basically as a play finisher, lob threat, while trying to get on the glass as a backup center. But then he started about 31 games in the season, and in those starts, he averaged 10.6 points, 10.5 rebounds, 1.4 assists, close to a block per game, showing a lot of the passing chops, and overall was just a very, very good center for this team. Now, of course, there's points in the season where he came back from an ankle injury and then they traded for James Wiseman, so we did some mix-up and trying to figure out who they really wanted to give some of those bulk of the minutes to. And I think they made the wrong decision by not starting him completely. And I think the whole James Wiseman experiment may be a little bit of a mistake on Detroit's end, but we'll talk about that later. I need to hop on that now. But overall, Jalen Duren was absolutely great as a rookie for this team. Already one of the best offensive rebounders in the game. A great play finisher and amazingly athletic at the rim, so he's really, really hard to stop once you get him in that area. And he is very good at making decisions as a passer in the short roll in, dribble handoff actions. Overall, when he has the ball at the free throw line, he knows how to pick out cuts and sometimes just find it to the right guy to make the right play. It's one of those niche skills that certain bigs I think need to be successful now, and that's why you see guys like the Domantas Sabonis, the Upper Senguns, Bam Adebayos, and of course at the upper echelons, the Nikola Jokic's are so successful. They're bigs that have the ability to make every single type of pass, and Jalen Duren is getting to that level. Now, of course, we see bigs that with his archetype that don't have a level of passing that constantly haunts them going to playoff time, like a Joel Embiid or Anthony Davis, that even though they're really good scorers and defenders already, when you can't make decisions with your back to the basket, or you're not a great passer, teams can double team you and most likely it's going to be a turnover or you're going to have to reset the play completely, it can hamper your offense a little bit. And Jalen Duren has already shown that he can rectify those problems. I'm not saying he can be the lead playmaker for a team sometimes, but he has the ability to make sure that even if you do give him the ball in certain positions, he's not gonna be glued to his hands. He's gonna be able to find the right guy sometimes, unlike the other center that they traded for on this roster in James Wiseman. But that's not what the bulk of his value is. Some of his value, a good amount of it, even though he wasn't really a plus defender this season, he showed a lot of promise as a rim protector and as a defender. I'm not the greatest rim deterrence in keeping guys away from the rim. Obviously, as a rookie, that's going to take some time to learn. But as a shot contester and a shot blocker, he was pretty good. People were challenging him at the rim, and he was making some pretty good defensive possessions and contests out of it. He was doing a good job of keeping players' field goal percentage down one-on-one with the players at the back of the basket, even though it's not too much. He does a very good job of that, and he guards the pick and roll pretty well throughout the entire regular season. But the main value and the bulk of his value comes from just absolutely being insane on the glass already. One of the best offensive rebounders in the game already. and he is just gobbling up rebounds left and right on that end. Now, of course, he needs to work on his touch a little bit because he does be missing a couple bunnies here and there. But that's obviously going to come with time, and he is absolutely amazing as a rebounder this season. And that showed in his consensus rebound percentage, where, you know, those are the high value ones that a bunch of bigs are going for, and he was one of the better guys in that this past season. But overall, the kid is just very good. Already a plus defender or plus rim protector in the NBA. Obviously, he needs to be better at the pick and roll and switching onto guards, but he already showed flashes of being good at that also. Just to be a lot more consistent with it. Already good play finisher and lob threat in the league. Very, very good rebounder, already one of the best in the NBA. And overall, shown a lot of potential as a passer and as a dribble handoff guy, and overall making decisions in the short roll and with his back to the basket. Now, obviously, there's things that he needs to get better at. He needs to be able to abuse mismatches a little bit more down low, and at least have some touch with either a hook shot or a floater within the lane a little bit there. At least give him a little bit more of an offensive weapon instead of having to be directly at the rim, so that you could take advantage of a couple different sets for this team. Obviously, they're not going to be able to always get the ball to at in front of the rim. So if you can take advantage of like a good 10 feet closer to free throw line level ability, he's going to bring a lot more value to this team already with such plus rebounding. He needs to be a better perimeter defender, or at least switchable on the perimeter while still being okay at deterring players from going to the rim. He's one of those guys that definitely does help a little bit, and then goes up for the block on the center. He doesn't really do a good job of. He's definitely one of those young guys that has the issue of selling out too much on getting blocks, and then point guards dump it off to their big man. So that does tank some of his defensive numbers and his return stats. But overall, those are just things he can work on. And keep in mind, the kid is still going to be 19 in his second season by the time the season starts. Like, was started last season at 18. So he has a lot of time to get better. And bringing back Cade Cunningham and that pick and roll is going to be great. Getting Joe Harris along with Bogdanovich coming back, and some of the flashes you saw Jaden Ivey show as a catch and shooter this past season is going to give him a lot more space and a lot more targets to pass to. Definitely. And I do think he's the guy the Pistons need to go forward with at that center spot, and, you know, ditch the other guy, even though he has some potential in his own self. But overall, Jalen Duren is a great young player, a great young big that I think has some All-NBA potential, and max could be a Dwight Howard level player. Now, that's a 3-time Defensive Player of the Year and one of the best centers in his prime. Obviously, that's pretty high expectations, but the kid has a lot of potential. He could get to that level if he does reach it. But with that being said, this is FLB. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. I'm out.